Hello and welcome to the UK Surf Show. We are your hosts. I'm Pete.
And I'm Mitch. And on today's show, we are going back to the Q&A session to answer the rest of these questions, which there's so many of.
Yeah. Part 2 of the Q&A. And before we just jump straight into this, we'll give you a discount code. So don't forget, head over to Surface Wetsuits, use the discount code UK Surf Show 22. And that will get you 10% off anything you order at Surface Wetsuit. That one had to change because it went viral.
Or if you fancy 15% off anything at Northcore, head over to their website and put in the discount code UK Surf Show 15, and that will give you 15% off anything at Northcore.
Yep, and also head across to Buy Me Coffee, and you can find the link to that on our Instagram or on our website. And Buy Me Coffee, we have discount codes for many, many other companies.
Things.
Yeah, things and companies, yeah.
Stuffs and things.
Yeah, so should we just jump straight into part 2?
I guess we should just dive straight in.
Because we've got a lot of questions.
Yeah, we do have a lot of questions. And actually, it was nice to see how many people reached out and engaged with us, because I think, we say in the army there's no such thing as a stupid question, which is fair because, I guess if you're thinking it, at some point someone else has thought it. But yeah. I will always couple that old saying that there's no such thing as a stupid question with there is stupid people. so yeah.
It definitely is stupid people.
Let's
kick it off with KB Photo, shall we? KB Photo vid. Who's the better surfer, me or Monode?
Oh yeah, as in him or Monode, not you. So I always see Monode. I've started following Monode recently, but I've seen his profile quite a few times in the past. But when you do, you get predictive text, and it predicts what you're trying to write. I sometimes do that with reading. I do predicted reading. Yeah. So anytime I now see Monode, I just see Moonhead. That's what I see, Moonhead. So in my head, Monode will always be Moonhead. Sorry, Monode.
Well, who's the better surfer? Me? Well, I've surfed with both of them actually. I surfed in Saunton a few weeks back with both of them. That's the time that I got whiplash, so I didn't really see a lot of either of their surfing. So couldn't tell you, mate.
And I assume you've had some sort of massive claim by now for your whiplash.
I might try and see if I can claim off Dom, actually. He made the board, didn't he?
Yeah, or the wetsuit.
Yeah.
What was the blame?
But so now, we go on to some serious ones that we've got. We've got quite a few, actually. So next question comes from Average BJJ Dude. So you make of that whatever you will.
Yes,
leave that there. Big bottom turn or graceful top?
Oh, what a question. I mean...
see, that is, isn't it? I love a big bottom turn. I fucking love a big bottom turn on a longboard. It's probably because I can't do a graceful top turn.
Well, do you know what the thing is? I think the difference is, I think when you get the thing is, as long as you're in the right position, you're always going to do a bottom turn with speed. Because gravity is making that happen. Yeah. To do a really good graceful top turn requires quite a lot of technical ability and understanding of what's going on. So I am hugely guilty of not carrying enough speed into a top turn and trimming it all off as I'm trying to create a turn. I'm also trying to do my top turns too quickly where I've not generated the speed on the bottom turn.
It's that thing that Seb said, wasn't it, about compression, extension, compression, and everyone does compression, extension, and then you run out of that speed. So
exactly, when
you remember to do it, you're like, oh, I've carried speed through into this.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm 100% going to say a big, powerful bottom turn, not just because I'm not doing the top turn necessarily, but I think because you're always going to do a bottom turn with more speed, or at least I am, and that just feels amazing.
Yes, it does,
super. When you get a hand in the water as well, like it's just such a cool thing. When my board makes a noise, I know I'm done well.
That's it. That's the one.
All right. Waves Make You Wet. That's a great name. So, fave gear for surfing?
Wetsuit, obviously.
Obviously, yes. Well, it depends what time of year it is.
I tell you what, I not just because they're responsible for the show, but since I had my Surface wetsuit, it's been absolute game changer. It's so stretchy and it's
Right.
warm, but it's so stretchy. And that wetsuit's been brilliant, and it's made me feel like my surfing is a lot better and like more free flowing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So apart from the wetsuit, obviously, things that help. So yeah, like you say, like changing robes and like van accessories and things like
Well,
that
yeah.
help. But
I guess the question could be taken two ways. One, if it's specific to actual gear you need in the surf. We're talking about wetsuits, surfboards, and fins. They're probably
fin,
obvious,
a good
right?
fin, yeah,
Fins,
a good
fins,
fin, a single
fins.
good fin.
You need a thruster as a minimal or a 20.
Yeah,
But I
whatever.
think outside of the obvious in water surf gear, some of the things, and it comes up for me every year. I try and post my favorite surf, relevant items every December. And for like 3 years running, ever since I've been aware of this product, I still think it's one of the top products for me in surfing, and that's a Sea Monster wetsuit hanger.
Oh, by far, yeah, the absolute game changer. Yeah,
It is, and I think as well. I remember I was speaking with, I think it's Mark from the start, and because I bought into it straight away, like I totally was sold on it. I could
yeah,
see the benefit, and a few mates didn't really see it, and not even the fact that if you're selling it like, well, you're not going to lose your boots and your gloves, which is also a game changer in itself to be
yeah,
able to keep them all together.
yeah,
But it actually does dry your gear out. I used to always come home and I would just hang up like my boots, wetsuit, and gloves, in some fashion in
yeah,
my drying room.
yeah,
But it's just warm air getting stuck, even if the boot's facing upside down. The warm air's getting stuck in there,
yeah,
condensation's happening, and it stays wet forever.
yeah,
Like, so the way the Sea Monster's working is it's got like channels in the
yeah,
grooves, and it allows air to flow in and out. So it does actually dry everything, and it works really well.
yeah,
So I love that. So for me,
yeah,
favorite surfing accessory has got to be a Sea Monster.
yeah. Right, Cassie Case, 1977. Should we all reduce our surf travel so that we can help reduce pollution?
Oh, I mean, you've got to take into account people's perception and opinion and lack of, not lack, sorry, their sort of moral compass.
Yeah,
Like, if you can't, I could stand here and say you must have an ethical outlook on everything you do, but that's not up to me to
yeah,
decide that for you. So if surfing's important to you and you're happy to drive or fly or get a diesel powered boat 300 miles to do so, do it.
yeah.
Because
Your mental health is going to outweigh. It's a fucking loaded question, isn't it?
that is a loaded
Yeah,
question, yeah.
it's one of those where you can say, well, yeah, you need to travel to surf unless you're lucky enough to live right on an awesome beach that breaks all the time,
Yeah.
which would be the type of question I'd ask then. Why do you all need to drive it? Because you want the beach to yourself.
Yeah.
But, if for people's mental health, if people aren't in a good state of mental health, they aren't going to care about anything else that's going
No.
on. So my answer would be no. You need to drive to those places, because if surfing's sorting out your mental health, you are more able to be active and do things to help change the planet in different
Yeah.
ways.
And to be fair, to follow that up and back up your answer, like, even if it's not doing anything for your mental health, if you're that person I mentioned before that, oh, I didn't realize surfing done stuff for people's mental health.
Yeah,
If that person just loves to surf, then there you go. Crack
yeah,
on, do it.
yeah.
So, yeah. Right. This one's a big one. John Luffman. John Lufflum. Surfing is a gift. It's the most nonsensical, pointless thing, but means so much to so many. It's a strange thing, and I've still not figured it out. It's not the riding, because I can do that downhill on a skateboard. It's not being on a beach as such, because there's closer non-surfing beaches I could go and visit. So what exactly is it that gets you, and why do some of us get it and some of us don't?
Do you know what it is? I can explain it in one noise. Oh,
Oh, I thought you were going to go, you.
I was going to go, hiya.
It's got weird.
It's that when we started, we used to ask that question of like, what explain surfing if you can, what it gives to you, and everyone before they answered, they always just go, it's just like, it's just that. That's it. It's that. I don't know. It's a freedom. It's you're away from everything. You've got no phone out there, you've got no technology out there. You're away from everything. You're just in nature, and you're just in the moment. I suppose that's it about that. You're just being in the moment.
A photo is a return ticket to a memory. Now, I know that's not relevant to anything, but I heard that recently and thought it was really wise, and I've been wanting to say it for ages. So there it is.
I'm just going to sit here staring at you like this.
I just wanted to sound wise for a minute.
Yeah. It is that. I think it's that freedom, that disconnect, that in the moment with nature, in the elements. It's all of these things combined. That, and it's like, who was it? We had on ages ago. I think it was.
I know what you're going to say as well. Because
Jerry Lopez said, surfing is the safest sport in the world, but you always feel like you're going to die. So it's that exhilaration and chill. You're getting everything from it, I think.
I think you're bang on. The noise is probably just the easiest way, because we're all going to answer that in such a different, exploring of our own mind's way, because I just know what it does for me, but I don't think I could put that into any sort of words.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's just a noise. That's the simple answer to it.
But remember the photo.
You remember the photo. Right. So we got this question here, right, which is a good one, which revolves around our surf trip that we're going to do. Right. Ideas that you mentioned about a trip going surfing. Would it be good to get other people involved, like a convoy going to certain destinations, working out camps, bonfires, and beach cleans, and everyone who wants to chip in for accommodation could. And your reply to this answer was,
sounds like a lot of hard work.
The thing is, I think, right, one, that would be a great idea, but two,
the idea of it's fantastic.
Yeah, the amount of work and effort that's involved, it's already a ball ache working out where we're going to go, who we're going to speak to, what equipment we need, what recording equipment we need, how long we can be at each places. And already when we've just started talking about that, I've got a headache already. So to add more stuff to it would probably be quite a firm no at the moment.
The idea is fantastic.
That said, at a different date, maybe that is something we could do. A convoy of
100%,
yeah, that would be.
And just as long as we don't have to be responsible for any of it.
Yeah, as long as we don't have to organise. If you organise it,
so just tell us where to be and when, and we'll let you know if we're free. No, you didn't put a name down for that. I'm looking at that one as well.
Yeah, I have. I've got it. Hold on. So that is from Joe Wooker, and if you want to organise it, mate, tell us where to go. We'll be there.
Let us know. Yeah, let us know who's going to be there as well.
Yeah.
Right. Next, Mike Miller.
Mike sent one question, and then he said he had loads of them, and I was just like, send them. So Mike Miller actually sent every question he's ever had, I think. It's amazing.
Yeah, right. So here we go. My first one is, in fact, the fact that his first question starts off with my first one is.
Yeah.
Right. Should I be worried with the amount of wax I'm getting on my wetsuit? Will it ruin it? Do I need to remove it? Is it a reflection of a bad wax job on the board? First attempt, in brackets.
So I actually did some research on this one as well, because I've never even thought about this as a question. And there is ways to remove wax from wetsuits, but a lot of people seem to say, what's the point? Because it's just going to be back on there again.
Well, also, it's giving you more stick to your board.
Yeah.
So Kelly Slater trick, he actually waxes the inside and outside of a rash vest.
Yeah.
Yeah, gives them even more stick. Probably, in 2 foot slops, probably not as relevant. But
so I'd say wouldn't worry about it, mate. To be honest,
definitely wouldn't worry about it.
And then if you're surfing it in warmer weather, it's probably going to melt off anyway. To be honest,
you're always going to have that slightly looser layer on a top layer of wax when you've freshly put it on your board anyway. So you're going to get some rub off. It's definitely not going to ruin your suit. And one of my frustrations, actually, one of my few boards that I haven't gripped, and it was the only board I had access to recently. And I took it out in Saltburn, it's old school wax on it. I put a new bit of wax on, And what it reminded me of is, because I think I'm slowly getting over my knee up pop-up, but when I get tired and get lazy, that creeps back in. And at the end of that session, when I looked down, my right knee was just caked in wax. And I was like, damn, if this was surf gripped, I would have thought I had a good session with no knee up pop-ups.
That's what I was going to say. My wax, when I was waxing my board, it always ended up on my knee or on my head.
Why?
Just to fall off a lot. So next question from him is, how often should I be waxing or topping up the supply of wax to my boards?
So, I mean, it depends how often you surf. I know some people will wax their boards every time. I don't see the need for that.
Yeah.
Also depends on the type of waves you're surfing. If you're going to be surfing crazy, powerful, heavy, fast-moving waves, then maybe that's relevant to do it every time. But if you're surfing once a week, once every 2 weeks, like I don't see the need to retop up your wax, because you're just going to end up with a board just caked in dirty wax. And I don't see the need. I've never waxed a board before every session. If I surf, on the rare occasion that I get to surf daily, when that happens, I might put a new fresh layer on the top and then not wax it again for the week unless I feel the need to. So I wouldn't overthink that.
No, or just get yourself some surf gripped.
Or get some surf. Yeah, you never have to do it again.
Yeah. Okay, next question on his list is oceanography, reading forecasts. What should a noob look out for? Appreciate it depends on key things like wind direction, where you are, is a specific heights or waves and suggestions for beginners in a short board versus a long board.
Well, I guess understanding what you need to understand. So, what you need as a longboarder, what you need as a shortboarder.
So should we go through both of them? So if I'd take the longboard one, you take the shortboard one.
Right. So I'd say for shortboarding, then the first thing you're going to want to understand is the beach that you're going to go to. Try and understand the topography, meaning the sort of shape of the beach, what's happening at the beach, the sand dunes, the sandbanks, the sandbars, and that sort of stuff. But at the very least, and to keep it basic and simple, understand the direction that beach faces. So if that beach faces straight east, so if I'm standing on the beach looking out to sea and that beach and I'm looking east, you want a swell predominantly to come at you. So an easterly swell, so it's coming at you, right?
Yes.
What you would like to have is the wind then going the opposite way, so to blow straight offshore or no wind at all. That will mean that gentle breeze is going to hold that wave open longer, so it won't break as quick. If that wind is blowing onshore, so it's coming with the swell, and especially if it's strong, that's where you tend to start getting a lot of mess. And what that wind is doing is blowing the waves over and killing them. That's good if you can do airs, because that means you've got resistance. When you take off, the board's going to stay planted to your feet. And just to go back the other way, what might sound perfect with an offshore wind, if that wind ends up being super strong, can actually blow out a weak swell. So you might see on a forecast like, it's a solid 3-foot swell coming in. But actually, if it's quite weak with no energy in it, a big wind could blow that out. So understand the beach, understand where it faces, have a look at where the winds are coming from. Most beaches will have a prevailing wind, meaning most of the time that's where the wind blows from. And understand what your comfortable conditions are. So, if you're just learning and you're going out, if it's saying 10 foot, I probably wouldn't be going near it if you're trying to get out back.
Yeah. And then all that you just said, like you said, the first part of it, know your beach, because some beaches work completely different and they work just off wind swell. So, when the wind's blowing strong offshore, you're getting a wind swell and it's pushing the waves or the other way, onshore, and you're getting wind swell that's causing that to make those waves. It might be sloppy and messy, but that's the only chance you get with waves at some spots as well. So probably that first part of it is know your beach and know where you're surfing.
Know your beach, but also as well, just to couple onto all of that, is understand the tide times.
Yeah.
Because not every beach works on mid to high tide.
Yeah.
I guess there's a misconception. It's quite an easy assumption that I've heard people make. I'm looking at my window now at the beach. Where I look now, it works best as it's hitting the harbour wall. which tends to be just before high tide, but the beach literally 100 metres further along behind the harbour wall works at low tide. It's 100 metres apart, but understand the beach and ask locals because they'll tell you.
Yeah, that's it. They'll know when the best times to surf are. On a longboard, I'd say everything Mitch said's spot on as well, but I'd look for, if you're learning on a longboard, look for smaller waves. I'd say from the 2 to 3 foot, perfect conditions to learning to surf the longboard. It'll get you in that zone of being able to stand up, and then especially with mellow with a low wind, that sort of 2 to 3 foot level with a low wind, and you'll be having so much more fun because you'll not only will you be able to paddle out probably further and get out to the back, you'll also be able to catch more waves. And we should say the period apart as well. How the longer the wave period is apart, the better they are normally as well. Yeah. So if you're seeing them with like 8 seconds in between them, normally it's not worth bothering. If you're seeing them like 10 plus seconds, it normally means you're going to get some good waves.
And just to touch on wave height, a 3 foot wave at 6 seconds won't be the same as a 3 foot wave at 15 seconds.
Yes.
So the bigger that swell period, meaning the gap between the waves that come, and the waves come in sets, so it might be a set of 4, 5, 6 waves, whatever it might be. Then there'll be a gap, then another set of waves, the wave train. The bigger that set period tends to mean there's more energy in the wave. It's more defined. It's got more power, and it will probably come as a bigger wave. So if you end up on a 17-second 4 foot day and think, oh, that's an easy paddle,
that's going to be a 3 foot solid.
You're probably you're probably going to get pummeled and find yourself in the hurt locker at some point.
Yeah, that's going to be 3 foot fun, isn't it?
Wait, 3 foot fun, yeah. I run, we Army Surf, and we do 2 beginners weeks every year, and they're the best weeks, just teaching everyone to surf, and there's so much one-upmanship, as we've spoke about loads. And I remember a couple of years ago, they came down, and the first 2 days they surfed at North Fistral, and it was clean. It was 2 foot. It was perfect, right? And actually, from day one, they were on green waves because it was so clean. And it was like that. It was like 17 seconds a foot or something. And it was perfect for 2 days. And every day was catching green waves. Most people were trimming. And I remember everyone being like, oh, this is amazing. Like, we're picking this up really quick. This is so easy and effortless. I was like, listen, you can't take that until you've surfed on a horrible, windy, messy day. Anyway, the next day was exactly that. It was like 4 foot at Great Western, I think it was, at the Wedge.
Yeah.
And man, it was savage. We had to get people out of the water. Like, it was such a shore dump. It was like, this is awful. I was like, that's when you know, never gauge surfing on clean waves.
That's it.
Right. So next question. Is it Mike?
Yeah.
Next question from Mike is most effective on-land exercise to help improve paddle power / speed.
Do you want to answer at the same time? See if we've got the same answer. 3, 2, 1. Bottle
Adrenaline
hops.
Athlete. Well, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of the same thing. Fucking bottle hops.
Fucking bottle hops. No one likes them.
They're not in my program anymore because I'm clearly
beyond that. Them. Because you cried about them so much that you took them out.
So what's the question? Most effective exercise, on-land exercise to help improve paddle power. I mean, again, we're not, experts in any
Alan.
sort of... ask Alan, but, reach out to Adrenaline Athlete. He's been on the show before. Listen to his episode. This is an Olympic strength and air conditioning coach. He knows his stuff. He really does. And, don't be pulled into this argument that training needs to look like the sport. It's probably my biggest takeaway from being with Alan. So I'm not saying swimming isn't helpful for surf paddling, but I'm just saying it doesn't have to look like the sport. So a lot of things in my program are slow release lateral pull downs, weighted push-ups and stuff like that. And I've noticed a massive difference. There you go.
Right, I'm not going to read all of this out because he's actually sent fucking hundreds of them.
The next one's a good one though, the pop-up one.
Yeah, go on then. You go.
No, I've got an answer.
No, you read it.
I want to answer this one.
All right, you can ask it and answer your own question.
All right, okay. So, Mitch, right? Should I be practicing pop-ups on the lounge floor, or is it a bit pointless? Any tips on how to progress from popping up, essentially falling straight in? to popping up and not falling in. Lol. Well, we both have and use a pop-up trainer, which is a great bit of kit, right? And this is something, my pop-up is one of the longest running topics of debate that I have in my surfing. And for years, I was just practicing pop-ups on the floor and in all sorts of areas. Now, whilst that might seem helpful and really good, what I realised using the Pop-Up Surf Pro is that it's not, for the simple reason that if you do a pop-up on the floor or on the sand or whatever it is, you can't fall off. Like, you can't get it wrong. So wherever your feet land, even if you don't stand up or you lose balance, you're not getting that instant feedback. On a Pop-Up Surf Pro, if you pop up wrong, it throws you off and you get that feedback. So by doing it on the floor, you're not creating a proper muscle memory. So I would say, if you're serious about training, have a look at Pop-Up Surf Pro. We've definitely got some discount codes for them. It might even be Scottish 10. So I'd have a look at that because it's massively helpful.
Yeah, I think there's one on the Buy Me Coffee as well. And I think Mike's actually on there as well. So
Sweet.
There's a discount affiliate thing on there. Are there any books, YouTube channels, podcasts, social, other accounts, anything else for that matter that you'd recommend for picking up both techniques and general surfing knowledge? Yeah, the UK Surf Show. You're supposed to say the UK Surf Show.
The UK Surf Show. Would recommend the Surfskate Academy.
So like surf skates are good training, to be honest. So social media and that. There's a few other podcasts around which are good. There's so much there's so much content on social media and YouTube and everywhere. It's hard to pick anything that's specific, but things that will generally help your surfing knowledge. I suppose referring to one of the earlier questions, learning about beaches, waves, and oceanography, as you would, that learning about that sort of stuff would be a great help.
And for the technical, I would recommend personally the Surfskate Academy because that will allow you to learn the technical aspects of what your arms need to be doing, what your body needs to be doing, where your head and eyes should be looking, and all them other little things. Going back to something Pete said before about, people will compress and extend in a maneuver, but what both of us didn't realize before Seb told us, that if your compression, when you then extend, that's what creates the speed. Gives you a noise out of your tail. But if you don't recompress, you do not carry that speed through. You lose all that speed straight away.
And I think a lot of surfers, actually, after that episode, a lot of people said they were guilty of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Totally. So it doesn't mean you're going to lose all speed and come off the wave, but you're not going to be doing anything else near like you want to do if you're not doing that on the wave. Yeah. So one more from him then. I think we'll do... if you think back of your own experience, what would be the one thing that you change and get you up to riding consistently sooner?
The right equipment. I don't know if that's the same for longboards, because I guess you've always got that paddle power, but I think because I started surfing later in life, I was like probably 30 when I started surfing, and I think it's a hard sport to learn when you're older. And I got it in my head, because I didn't grow up around surfing at all, so I kind of got into it and then I was in, and that was it. So I got it in my head that if I could ride a shortboard, I could do it on anything. What I learned from having been a surf coach is that this is very much a learn to walk before you can run sport. Start on a foamy, but get off that foamy as quickly as you can. Learn the basics, trimming a surfboard, how to pop up, a bit of wave etiquette and a bit of oceanography, as we called it. And then step down onto like some sort of minimal, depending on your size and weight and height and whatever, like a 7.5 foot minimal or something that you could get recommended by a shaper. You don't have to buy new. And then do everything you've already done on the foamy.
I'd probably say for your first board, I wouldn't buy new, unless you're buying a like...
No, that's what I'm saying. No, don't buy new. So, because when you go from foam to a hardboard, it's going to feel like almost starting again, because you're going to have so much less float and less forgiveness. And then again, step down again. So it's all about, getting consistent and then stepping down to the board you want. That's what I would say. That's what I would change for me.
Yeah. I think just getting in as much as possible. The more you can get in, the quicker you're going to learn and come on. That's one of the main things I'd take away.
Yeah.
We've also got some audio questions.
Oh, yes. Looking forward to these.
First one is from Nathan Sillis.
Hey guys, my question to you is: do you struggle with finding the motivation to go surfing on your own? I used to go surfing with a mate, but he's had a lot of back trouble recently and can't come anymore. And my local break is a Witterings, which is pretty shit and fickle. So I struggle with motivation, go to Devon now and again. Girlfriend comes with me, waits in the van. Not ideal. I go and surf for a couple of hours. She says she enjoys it, but I don't know whether she does. What would be your advice, guys? Thanks.
Well, firstly, your girlfriend sounds like a legend.
Yeah.
For starts. Like, she's hating it, but she's still willing to go with you.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe I would say if you're struggling to find, if surfing isn't the motivation in itself, then maybe go play swing ball.
Do you know what, right? I know you surf on your own quite a bit, and you're lucky enough to be able to go right outside your house when you're in Scotland and surf on your own.
I'm not lucky enough. I paid money to be here.
Well, you know what I mean. Don't be so pedantic.
A big word.
Yes. Well, yeah, but I get that thing sometimes, because if I want to go surfing, like, say, Saunton or anywhere in Devon, it's an hour and a bit drive. And if I've got to do that drive on my own, and no one's coming with me, and then surf down there and drive back on my own, it's a hell of a long day to be on your own. And if you're me, you don't like being on your own very much, because you really don't like your own company.
I guess how I fell into surfing, that's how it was, because nobody in my regiment surfed. So I had no choice but to go on my own. And while I will be the first person to say never go surfing on your own, I know I'm hugely guilty of it.
Yeah.
But equally, I'll couple that with this. Even when I surf outside here where I live myself, I probably won't go out as far as I know I need to be at times, because I know if I bang my head or if it goes wrong, nobody's coming for me. No one. So surfing on your own is a funny one. But again, for me, like the surfing's the motivation.
Yeah.
That would be my personal answer. That is my motivation. Just getting a surf.
I do understand the question though, because it is like, if you've got a distance to travel, it's hard, and going on your own is boring. It's more expensive, but if you think about it as well, it's great going with your mate. But often when you're in the water, you're on your own anyway, because either they're on a wave or you're on a wave, or you're paddling off mid-conversation. And so it's one of those where, like Mitch said, surfing should be the motivation, but I'm lucky enough now to know quite a few people in Saunton, so if I go down there, I can meet someone down there normally. So that's a bonus. So it's just a journey there and back. Poor me.
I don't know if there's like surf groups and stuff, Facebook groups and whatever. We definitely have them around here. Maybe so. I know I see people quite often will share on the groups that they're off to go surf a spot, and it's a good way of getting to know other surfers and share the fuel, share the transport and stuff. Yeah,
maybe join a Facebook group then. Yeah, that's cool. Right, next one is from Brad Henderson.
Hey guys, just recently started listening to the podcast a couple months ago. Gotta say, absolutely loving it, and what you guys talk about is always real good. Always enjoy it. I thought I'd ask. I've always got a few songs that I'll play before I go out for a surf to kind of get myself hyped up. Have any of you two got any select songs, a few songs that really get you in the zone to go out for a surf? Cheers.
So, yes. There's a UK Surf Show playlist on Spotify.
And I like what you've done.
A pre-surf and a post-surf playlist, actually, which are from older episodes. We started doing and adding songs, and we often ask guests what songs they like to listen to pre and post surf, because it is like, especially if you're driving any distance, like if you're surfing outside your house, I don't suppose there's any point, because by the time you got the song on, you're in the water.
Yeah, I'll just listen to the advert pre-song.
But there's like, I can't. For you go, Mitch, I can't even think.
No, but to be clear, it's only now, thanks to my dishonourable discharge, as you would call it, I'm actually at home. So normally I have an hour to drive to Saltburn to surf. But I guess maybe for me, maybe this is a little bit different. I wouldn't say I've got a go-to song. I would say I'm more I like to listen to stuff that isn't necessarily surf related, so I can start off with a clear head.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say the obvious, like I'm going to listen to like Jack Johnson or anything like that.
Yeah.
I would rather listen to something that's got nothing to do with surfing.
Yeah.
Like the UK Surf Show, for example.
It has been that way sometimes.
Yeah. So that's, I don't, although there is songs I will listen to,
Yeah.
but I tend to put on a set playlist for a genre, maybe on shuffle.
Yeah.
Even though I know I should listen to songs to get me in the mood, instead I'll just go on that emotional journey.
See, I think the Jack Johnsons and things like that are after the surf, when it's all mellow. Like you've been surfing, and that's sort of like the going home music, the mellow, chilled out stuff like that. Me and Leighton always said that the music we listened to on the way down there was always like amped up music, like get you going and get you in the mood to like, get you fired up, sort of thing. So yeah.
So I mean, do you know what? Recently, talking about music, I don't know how I've missed this, but we've been watching Yellowstone on Paramount. Have you seen it?
Nope.
It's the Kevin Costner thing. It's like a cowboy on a ranch type thing, but it's not like an old Western.
You've been listening to everything I do it for you, haven't you?
Well, no, I tell you what, the soundtrack is amazing, and I don't know how I have missed out on country music seemingly my whole life, because actually I'm loving Chris Stapleton at the minute.
Oh, yeah,
which I've been using
Tennessee
on quite a few of my
Whiskey.
stories. I mean, Tennessee Whiskey's an older one, but it's an absolute bomb of a song. It's class. But there's another one, Without Your Love, I think it's called. That's what I've been listening to. But that's probably, again, a post-surf tune.
Tennessee Whiskey is it's the same tune as an Etta James song, I think it is. I can't remember what it is.
What, is it a cover?
No, the Tennessee Whiskey isn't, but the music's something like, it was something like I'd Rather Go Blind, or it's a song like that anyway.
Right.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
It's a great tune, though. But
it's like I'll tell you another one that does that as well. If you ever listen to All Saints, Never Ever, remember that song from the 90s?
I know the song.
You'll never be able to hear it again without hearing Amazing Grace playing in the background.
All right, thanks for that.
Yeah. I just
welcome to Radio Pete.
Yeah. I just thought I'd share that with you,
Nice.
Yeah. Right, next audio question is from Danny Williams Photo.
Would you say the majority of your surf progression has come from simply surfing more, or from other sources like in-water coaching, on-land training, articles and videos? That's
actually a really good question, I think.
I think as well, we've answered a lot of that throughout this thing as we've gone.
I guess that's a good way to sum it up.
Yeah.
For that reason. So I think surf progression, without doubt, has to come with water time. And I've said many times that in the last 12 months, I've had more surf progression than I ever have. And that's based on consistency, where I've maybe been able to do a top turn, but then I couldn't ride out of it and do something in the past. This last year, I'm sort of hooking it all up, but that's coupled with, I'm then training out the water on surf skates, and I'm strength training with Alan. So for me, if I could do all that surf training out the water, if I didn't get in the water and put it into practice, then it probably wouldn't work as well.
Yeah.
So I think water time is key, 100%.
Yeah, water time. I'd say water time. Yeah, water time. Yeah.
Water time.
Next question from Paz, who has my surfboard. My surfboard.
Paz.
That got one.
Do you know what? Well,
nicest guy around.
Thank you. I was just about to say that very thing, because the message Paz sent me off of my own post and the Inertia post was, he's just the loveliest bloke. Like, will go out of his way to just be just a class dude. A man.
Yeah.
I've loved you, man. I've got a lot of time for you. Yeah. Thank you.
Do you know, I saw him post something recently. He was in, I think he was in Bali, and I was like, "You surfing?" He's like, "No, working." And he went out to Bali to like help loads of sick animals and stuff, because he's a vet.
Right.
And he's not a vet; he's a vet. He went out to Bali to do a bit of cross-dressing.
It's a place to do it.
Yeah, but he was doing that, like helping loads of animal stuff. He's just a nice guy. He's just a nice person. But here's his question.
You know what is, as well, before you play that, it's something that you reminded me of there, talking about Paz, because what a lot of people did that commented on my post, they also commented on the Inertia post, or they might have commented on the Inertia post and then back on my own page.
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted to highlight that is because this is something I do. Now, I know these companies, they share surf content, right? And that's how they grow. And, the person who's created that content gets something out of it. The page that's sharing it gets something out of it. So I understand that, and that's how it works. But I saw a post not that long ago, and it was a guy in France that ended up doing a random rescue. He just happened to be on the beach. He was a surfer, but he wasn't there to surf. And he went and rescued loads of people in the water, right? Amazing. And obviously he shared it, and some big surf accounts got hold of it and they shared it also. That's brilliant because it's highlighting, the good that person's done.
Yeah.
But be under no illusion, them accounts are obviously sharing it to grow their own accounts.
Yeah.
Which is fine. And what I would always do, I will always go find who the originator was. So I saw that post on, some big surf accounts page. I didn't comment on that big surf accounts page. I went to found the originator, that guy who done the rescue. I found his post and commented to tell him well done, not for growing someone else's sake. And I noticed people were doing that. They were commenting on the inertia and on mine, which I thought was really nice.
Yeah. So should we have Paz's question now? Because Paz actually sent 2 questions, but the second one's hilarious. This is the first one.
Great.
So I thought I'll put my question on a voice message if you want to, and you can use either way. My question is, I'm just seeking some advice. I've been surfing for 3 years now, more or less, and I've been longboarding, and I love my longboarding. But recently I have started using a shorter board, 7.6, something like a mid-length or minimal, and I'm having a blast. However, I feel I'm cheating on my longboards and I don't know what to do. Am I right feeling like that? Is correct? Should I tell my longboards? Should I have a polyamorous relationship with them? What do you think, guys?
What a question.
That's a question.
Are you cheating on your longboard? Yes, you are. Get back on your longboard and throw that mid-length in the bin.
I disagree. I think it sounds more like Paz fell in love with his childhood sweetheart, right?
Yeah.
Way too young. Fell in love way too young. Wasn't old enough. Wasn't mature enough. Didn't quite understand it. And he's got in too deep. And he's known it for years. Been in a stale relationship. They don't care about each other really. They're just there because it's not even convenient anymore. But then this beautiful, sexy 6'6" mid-length came along, and they get each other. They understand each other. They feel each other. They want to be with each other. They complement one another as it should be, like me and Special K do. And I would say the polite thing to do would be to get rid.
Well, no. In all honesty, that was a bloody brilliant answer, by the way, mate. In all honesty,
Thank you.
I'd say it doesn't matter, Paz. As long as you're having fun surfing, surf whatever makes you happy, mate. It's just
have a board.
Use them both. Use them all. You get more boards.
Yeah, that's it. Have a board to cover every set of circumstances you could possibly take boards out in.
In your little analogy there of the surf and everything, I've seen Paz's wife, and he's definitely punching.
So, are you saying that she needs to get a short board?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. And then I think this is the second part of his response.
Okay.
I've got another question for the next podcast. If you fuck up with grip, do you just stick and commit and carry on, or start from scratch? Asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend.
That's my favourite line post-COVID, is asking for a friend.
Yeah, so basically, Paz, what you're saying is you put your grip on it, and if you've gripped that longboard that you want off me, there's no stringer on it, so you can't see anything on it, so that's going to be where you fucked up.
I'm going to assume his fuck-up is in that he put some of the pads on facing the wrong way.
Well,
I bet they're all perfectly aligned. They just one or two face the wrong way.
As you'll find out in a future episode, there is clearly no correct way to put it on. It's just Mitch's OCD that tells him there is. Rip it off and start again, or just fucking carry on, Paz. It doesn't matter as long as if you're Mitch and you want them all perfectly lined up, I'd get out your little marker and tape measure and spirit levels and do it. But to be honest, the stuff works so well. In all honesty, right, without your OCD kicking in and going, they've got to be all facing the same way, I don't think it matters how they go on, as long as the spacing's pretty right.
I'm going to assume what Paz means is that maybe he's put some on and they're coming off, because I've done the same. So where you end up having to cut some for the rails, for example, and it is within the little surf grip instruction pad thingy, that where you have to cut it, you have to cut rounded corners.
Yes.
So if you leave a sharp edge, it can get caught in your wetsuit or whatever and start to peel off, which is exactly what I done. So, I mean, as long as they're not ones that are affecting how you're surfing, I would probably leave them till they're ready to come off and then replace them. That's what I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that was the last voice note. Oh, and I've just found one more question on the Instagram from Angie Wade. And it says, keep thinking of more questions, but re-listening to the anatomy of a surfboard episode, so helpful. Now I'm looking to get my next board. All makes much more sense now. I'm hanging on to my foamy for the time being after listening to Dom's advice, but I'm thinking of replacing the fins. What do you think it would be a good fin for my 8-foot, 75-litre foamy? I also know it has square rails, which makes it difficult to turn, and factor that in with what I go. I'd say, personally, I'd speak to Chris at Logfin Co.
Yeah, 100%.
He's, honestly, the guy knows so much about fins and down to the details of, like, what they're going to do. It's like, I feel like when he came on before, he didn't even scratch the surface of the stuff he knows about fins.
The thing is, as well, I think that is a great question to finish and sum everything up on, because what that question is doing is highlighting the overarching theme, I think, that we've answered questions throughout this is about surf knowledge and oceanography, or whatever we called it, because the more you learn and the more you understand, both within what the water's doing and your own ability. And like you said, you know, you've learned so much off the anatomy of a surfboard that you know more than you did. So the fact you're asking these questions tells me you're understanding what it is you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And for anybody that thinks fins, they're not. I used to say this, and I heard Alan say it recently, and in fact, so much so that I'm going to be doing something with FCS on this very subject in the coming weeks or months. In that, if you think you're not good enough for fins to make a difference, you're wrong. You, from the moment you're able to catch a wave, self-generate, catch a wave, and stand up and get on the wave, the fin or fins will make a difference to your surfing, and you would notice it if you were able to try it.
Yeah.
So Chris is your man, 100%, especially for a board like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's that thing as well. Is like you're saying with summing it up. I found like putting that fin that Chris sent me in made such a bloody difference on the board, the way it moved and everything. And even the fin positioning made a difference, you know, whether it's further forwards or further back or all these sorts of things that make a difference on it. And it is a good question to end on and sum everything up, because it is that thing of the more, like, I think anyone out there that tells you they know everything about surfing is a complete bullshit.
Totally.
We don't know, like we said from the start, we don't know anything.
No, I don't know much.
You know, we don't know much.
I don't know much, but I know I love you.
And you know, we know that we don't know everything, and we're going to learn things as we go through. That's why we like speaking to other people, and that, you know, the more information we can get, the more we do know, the more we can answer. You know, don't take our advice on everything we've said or anything we've said. Go and look for yourself as well. You know, you might find something and totally disagree with us. And if you do, that's fine as well, because it's a very individual sport, isn't it, surfing? Like everyone does it different. Everyone prefers a different board. Everyone likes to surf different waves.
And there you go. And, you know, we went in a lot of these questions. We had to research, like peeing in a wetsuit, for example, a question that's gone on my whole time surfing, but I didn't know the actual answer.
Yeah.
Does it damage a wetsuit? I now know that sounds like it doesn't, but it's still gross.
But you're still fine with shitting in one.
Oh, that's different. I've got Crohn's disease, you know. Get in my clothes.
On that, Christ. On that note, yeah. So I think that's pretty much it for the question and answer two-parter, and thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
We will. Thank you very much. Great questions.
Cheers.